The topic that I wanted to talk about today is performance anxiety. They work! Look how fucking bad that is. We're like, holy shit, did we ruin my phone? And then the most important tool of all, the tool for break time. Good morning. It is now daytime. It is 12:21 a.m. Why does it say a.m.? It's noon and we are back out here at the Jeep. You can see much easier what the front bumper looks like. I'll give you a full tour once we're done with the back, but let's just go ahead and jump straight to the back and get started so that we can have more fun doing the B-roll after all of the hard work is done. Let's move to the back. We're back behind the Jeep. We are going to be putting on the back metal bumper from Reaper Off-Road, which is by far the most perfect bumpers I've ever seen, not only for what I wanted, but also because they're called Reaper, and Reaper is called Reaper, so it's fucking perfect. Tools are basically all the same. I have another bag here with all of the hardware and info on the back bumper, separated from the front bumper. We're also going to be removing my license plate as the first order of business and setting it aside because we're going to be relocating that, not with the provided bracket from Reaper Off-Road, but to the middle of the spare tire because I think that just looks so aesthetic, and hopefully it'll make it easier for cops to see me, get my info, put me in the system, hopefully pull me over and risk their jobs to ask for a blowjob because it would fulfill one of my many, many fantasies. Or, you know, just the aesthetic thing. We'll just go with that part. We are going to expound upon what I was talking about yesterday, which is performance anxiety. I've realized recently that I also sometimes put off really important DMs or like business correspondence emails with people who are trying to sponsor me and stuff. It's weird. It's like, I think I have a little bit of time right now, but I want to have an extra amount of time when I reply to this message because it's more important and I can think it out more. And then I end up sometimes not even replying or leaving a company hanging too long. I'm pretty punctual when it comes to companies, but sometimes I leave people hanging longer than I would want. This is not to say that I don't purposefully ghost or not look at my DMs of like most people, but really, really important people that I need to respond to because like they're coming to see me next week and we need to set things up. I will sometimes accidentally ghost them for longer than I should when I'm not meaning to ghost them because of a little tiny facet of this performance anxiety where I'm like, I want to have extra time in order to respond to them properly, which is so weird because it doesn't really take any attention to be like, yeah girl, do you want to do this, that, and the other next week? Does anyone else have performance anxiety when they're going to reply to someone, maybe a crush, maybe a business thing, maybe you're going to ask for a raise? And do you sometimes put off talking to people longer than you should about things because you're worried about how it's gonna go? In my opinion, if I was going to give any advice that I should also always take myself, it would be to just get the goddamn thing done, whatever it is, put in your best effort and do plan for it. But if you get it done and it sucks, that's better than never knowing what could have happened and what good could have come of it if you never even tried. And then if you don't fail, which is freeing by the way, because you're no longer stressed out about having to do the thing because you've already failed, so you don't need to worry about it anymore. It also reminds you that there's life after every failure of yours. All right. Let's get this bumper installed. Anime strength. It's not coming up. My ears. right, guys, the bumpers are on. We're done for the day. It is 7:30 p.m. It's about to get dark, and the first difficulty we had was there was a really tight spot where my socket wrenches and my deep sockets would not fit, but a deep socket was required, so we went to go get an open-ended socket at Home Depot. That was kind of annoying because I had to move everything to the side and then move it back, but that wasn't the biggest problem. The biggest problem was when we were trying to align this back bumper, which literally is only held on by 4 really big bolts. So you would think the installation would be really easy. We weren't able to align the top bolts on both sides. So right now we have one of the old bolts on the top right side, the bottom bolts in, and no top bolt on this left side here. This is fine for it to just be a bumper, but it wouldn't be okay if I was going off-road and I was like running into things or having to use the recovery points on either side to winch myself out. Something like that, it would require it to be actually on here properly. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna call 4-Wheel Parts or Mopar or something, and I'm gonna take it down and have them do whatever they need to do to make this aligned. Trust me, Jay and I did everything we could possibly think of. We had me standing on here to try to push it down to align it. We tried to use the power drill, the impact driver. And then on top of that, yesterday there was a little bit of confusion with the fog lights, but that was okay. I just had the upgraded fog lights. And then also the screws just weren't fitting in the hole to hold the fog lights on, so we had to use the old screws, strip them in there because it was a really tight fit, and that's how they're staying. And it's a really tight fit, it is, but we broke off one of the screws and couldn't get it out because we don't have any drills that could drill the screws out. And I want to keep this brief because this is all technical stuff. My point is, by talking about all this, is that I decided to finally do this. Going back to the whole performance anxiety thing, I decided to finally tackle this. And am I a little disappointed? Yeah, I would be lying if I said that I wasn't. Am I a little dejected? Sure. But am I glad that I tackled it? Am I glad that I finally tried? Yes, because nothing would have been solved by me waiting longer and just passively reading over and over again the instructions. I wouldn't have gotten any better at doing this. What I needed to do, and what I always need to do, is just put things into practice. Because the more I practice this kind of stuff, the more second nature it's going to feel and the easier it's going to become. What I have learned from this is if there's ever an install that seems any harder than these bumpers, I'm probably going to take it in. I feel like such a cop-out pussy-ass bitch for saying that, but I've noticed now that it doesn't really matter how easy the directions seem. Something could be just slightly misaligned and then I don't have the proper tool set to combat that problem. So while I still do want to try install all little mods or all 2-wrench mods, like semi-difficult mods like this one, I want to concede that the harder stuff I should probably leave up to the professionals. The saddest part about not being able to get this bumper aligned is we were like pushing it up a lot to try to align it with the top holes, and now there's like a few little scratches on the back of the Jeep in the paint, which I'm going to have to buff and then put some paint on to make sure it doesn't rust and also to make it look better. It's not a huge deal, and it's obviously my fault and something that I signed up for doing this. I think that this problem wouldn't have been a big problem if it was someone who had a whole garage to their disposal or someone who had a lot more experience, and I have nothing to compare it to. So I guess the moral of the story and the end of this story before we get into the sexy B-roll, because I have worked 2 days really hard and I deserve to go have fun, is putting off the things that you need to do or that you want to try or that you want to get better at is never going to help you. Just fucking get it done, learn from it, and be better next time. And that's what I'm gonna do here. Big shout out to Reaper Off-Road. They did so much to get me these bumpers during COVID. It was crazy. I bought them from Extreme Terrain. Extreme Terrain just kept saying every week, oh, it's out of stock, oh, it's out of stock. We tried to reach out to them. So I reached out to them on Instagram and I had the bumpers within 2 weeks. Their customer service has been amazing. They've been so helpful to me. They sent me out a goodie bag with a sweater that I'm gonna be putting on in the B-roll, you'll see. Their products, as well as the Rugged Ridge license plate mount, which went on like a dream and is amazing. It's just a little bit rattly when I slam the door closed. That as well will be linked down in the description. For all of the D-rings and the custom red powder coating on the accent plates on the bumpers, as well as my super awesome tow receiver cover, the custom Reaper one, those are all done by an Etsy store called Jeep Junk. You guys know I'm a big proponent of supporting small businesses, so they will be linked down there as well with the other 1.5 small businesses that I supported with this build. So without further ado, I'm not going to talk at you anymore other than to say like the video, subscribe to the channel. Please let me know in the comments what you think. Turn on the notification bell if you would like to, and I will see you in the next video. Now enjoy tits, ass, front and back bumpers. I love you. I bought a winch. And now, because I did that, I have to spool it back up.
night and day. Wasting hours. Lying on the grass by the river, captured by the moon, barely breathing, dreaming while awake, moving slowly, waiting for a change.